I mean, there's a strategic way to open up things, and it really has to be guided by the medical evidence, and then of course common sense analysis of that. I'll just give you an example. K through 12 schools should be opened up. Of course, we understand that they have to be done with consideration of protecting the vulnerable, whether that's in their own families or even among teachers and things like that. But there's no evidence that K through 12 age students have any risk of a significant illness or hospitalization, or essentially zero risk of having death. There's no evidence to support some of the leadership positions that have been stated publicly, like how are we going to have 6 feet between each student? There's just no evidence to support that requirement. And the reason that's important is not just for the direct educational aspect. It's because when you have students not in their schools, K through 12 age, you're by necessity locking their parents into their homes to take care of them in most cases, and even to educate them. And so you're limiting re-entry into society. And similarly, we know that once we already have an educated public here on what social distancing is, we can do better and educate them on who the vulnerable is. We have new standards of sanitization that can be easily required. But mildly ill people, they can assume they have the disease and self-isolate. We can open up most businesses and most public settings, including public transportation, with a variety of maneuvers to protect people. And the second part of the equation, to allay their fears. We have a panic-stricken public now, many of whom are frozen by fear because of really uncertainty and mixed messages from the leadership here. So we really need to be far more focused on delivering a cogent message based on the evidence and common sense on how to reopen. The goals were to flatten the curves of hospitalizations per day and deaths per day. That was done. The goal of the policy is not, and never would be, to stop every single infection. But I think the questioner understands that. The question about would reopening create a resurgence so that it would be another hospital overwhelming. Of course, the goal of the way reopening is done is really critical here. And I think, again, you must be able to target, because we know who they are, the people who would, if infected, overrun the hospital with hospitalizations and have serious illness. This is not the beginning where we really weren't equipped and didn't have an understanding of that. We know how to do social distancing. We know how, and we can very smartly and strategically open up various parts of the economy, in fact, many parts of the economy, while still protecting those people. That would prevent the sort of overwhelming situation that the goals were intended to do and have done.